Okay, so let's start with the first homework for this unit, which is homework 16. So the first problem is an individual voter profile. So you have six voters, V1 through V6, and you have three alternatives, A, B, and C, and their preferences are summarized in this table below. So you have to tell whether these statements are true or false. The first one says that A greater than subscript 3B. Remember that this denotes the preference for voter 3. So what this means is that voter 3 prefers A over B. So let's look at voter 3. They actually prefer B over C and C over A. So this is false. The second part asks whether voter 1 prefers B over A. Let's look at voter 1 here, and clearly they prefer A over C over B. So this is false again, because voter 1 prefers A over C over B, not B over A. Okay. The third one looks at the voter preference for voter 6. So yes, this is correct. This is in the correct order of preference for voter 6. They prefer B over A over C. So this is true. Okay. Now for the fourth part, voter 1 has the same voter preference as voter 2. So let's compare voter 1 and voter 2. So voter 1 prefers A over C over B. Voter 2 also prefers A over C over B. So this is true. Okay. The second one says voter 2 has the same voter preference as voter 4. So now let's compare voter 2 and voter 4. So the top preference for both voters is the same. Voter 2 also prefers A first as their top preference, and voter 4 also has A as their top preference, so that's okay. But their second and third preferences don't match. So voter 2 prefers C over B, whereas voter 4 prefers B over C. So this is false. All preferences need to match. Okay. Now this one asks you whether two voters have C as their top choice. So you see the top choice row, and you see that only voter 5 has C as their top choice. So this is false. So there's only one voter who has C as their top choice. Finally, you have voter 1 and voter 5. Do they have the same bottom choice? So look at voter 1 and voter 5. Their bottom choice is B for both of them. So yes, this is true. Both have B as their bottom choice. Okay. Now we need to calculate the social ranking as per the following systems: plurality, two-round runoff, and dictatorship, assuming V4 is the dictator. So for plurality, you only look at the top preference row, so only the first row. So A is the top choice for voter 1, voter 2, voter 4. So three people have, or three voters have A as their top preference. Only two voters, sorry, let me use a different color for B. Only two voters have B as their top preference, and only one voter has C as their top preference. So A gets the most number of top votes. In particular, A gets 3 top votes. B gets the second most number of top votes, which are two votes. C gets the least number of top votes. So the order is A wins over B, wins over C under the plurality voting system. Okay, now in two-round runoff, you apply plurality in 2 rounds. So for in round 1, apply plurality and eliminate uh, just keep top 2 and eliminate the rest. So eliminate C and keep top 2 alternatives A and B. Okay, so after eliminating C, in round 2, you redistribute the votes, meaning that you just ignore that C, the alternative C ever existed. So this way, your, let me copy this down here. Okay, so in round 2, you completely ignore C. Okay, and your new profile would look something like this. So ignoring C, voter 1 prefers A over B, voter 2 prefers A over B, voter 3 prefers B over A, voter 4 prefers A over B, voter 5 prefers A over B, and voter 6 prefers B over A. Okay. Again, clearly, A gets more number of votes. So for A, you have voter 1, voter 2, voter 4, and voter 5. So 4 people have A as their top choice, and only 2 voters, voter 3 and 6, have B as their top choice. Sorry, only 2 voters. So again, A wins over B in this round, and then the final, these are the top 2, so they win over every other alternative, which is just C. And in general, if you have only 3 alternatives, the 2-round runoff, oh, sorry, ignore what I said. I was trying to say something about only 2 alternatives, but this one has 3 alternatives. Okay. Now under dictatorship, where V4 is a dictator, just the social ranking would just be the preference for the dictator, which is V4. So it would be A over B over C. Same as voter 4. Okay. Now this one is exactly the same, but now instead of having individual voter preferences for all 100 voters, you have a summary of how many people have this preference, how many people have this preference, and so on. So let's also do this kind of a problem. Problem 3 is very similar, so I won't go over problem 3. Okay, so let's calculate how many people voted A as their top preference. So for A, you have 10, 8, 10 plus 8 people voting A as their top choice. Then let's look at B. So you have 13 plus 10 people voting B as their top choice. Then let's look at C. You just have 16 people voting C as their top choice. And finally, let's look at D. We have 25 plus 15 people voting D as their top choice. So clearly, D has the most number of top votes, followed by B, followed by A, so, followed by C. Okay, so this would be the rank under plurality voting system. For the 2-round runoff, in round 1, you only keep the top 2, D and B, and eliminate everything else. So eliminate A and C. Okay. So now your voting voter profile would look something like this. So you have 10, 8, 13, 10, 16, 25, 15. You kind of just draw the table without the alternatives A and C. So just ignore them. So in the first row, just ignore A and C. Sorry, in the first column, just ignore A and C. So first column would be PD. In the second one, also ignore A and C. That would be DB, and so on. Okay. Now you again calculate the number of top votes for D, or let's do B first. So number of top votes for B. So you have 10 plus 13 plus 10, 33 people voting B as B as their top choice, and D would be the remaining uh, 67, I guess. So you have D, there's 8, 16, 25, 15. Okay, sorry, these would not be the entire 100 voters. But yeah, let's, um, sorry, let me just check if I made a mistake somewhere. Nope. Okay, so D gets top votes by 8 plus 16 plus 25 plus 15 people, which is something clearly greater than 33. So this is 40 plus 24, which is 64. Okay, so D wins over B, and B wins over both A and C. So everything else, the alternatives that we eliminated, tie for the last place. This is not a very good example for demonstration of how 2-round runoff can change the top 2 votes. because here D still gets more votes than B, but in general, you could have this switched up. You could do problem 3 similarly. Okay, now this is one example where you can probably see how plurality ranking can be changed if you do a two-round runoff instead of plurality. So you want, you're given this profile, you want to fill in the number of votes for each of these preferences so that under the plurality voting system, B wins over A and A wins over C. And under the social ranking system, A wins over B and B wins over C. So clearly C needs to have the least number of votes. Let's say C just has one. Sorry, actually, it does matter how many number of votes C has, but it needs to be the least. Okay. And it should be in a way that okay, and B should have the max number of top votes, but it should be in a way that after eliminating C and redistributing the votes, A gets more votes than B. Okay, so let's say that you have so let me put it like this. B needs to get the max number of votes. C needs to get the least number of votes in a way that once you eliminate C and the votes are transferred to A, then A gets more number of votes than B. So maybe let's give B 10 votes. Let's give C uh, 2 votes. And let's give A 9 votes. So this way, for plurality, A gets 9 votes, B gets 10 votes under the plurality system. C gets 2 votes, so the ranking is B greater than A greater than C as required. But for the two-round runoff, in round 1, you eliminate C. So your new table would look like this. And now A gets 9 plus 2 top votes, which are 11 top votes, whereas B gets just 10. So now A wins over B and B wins over C, which was eliminated. So this is one way you could do this. Another could also be maybe 10, 3, 9, or 8, and so on. Okay. Now you have to state whether the following statements are true or false. These are just theoretical and intuition-based statements. So the first one says that if you have exactly two alternatives, the ranking under plurality always equals the ranking under the two-round runoff. This is true because if you don't have a third alternative, the top two alternatives go to the second round, but they are all the alternatives that you have. So there's no third alternative that you need to eliminate. So the voting, so the ranking stays the same. The votes don't ever get transferred. Okay. The second one says that if you have exactly three alternatives, the social ranking under the plurality system always equals the social ranking under the two-round runoff. We just saw that this is false. See question 4 above. So here you had three alternatives A, B, and C, and the ranking under plurality and two-round runoff is not the same. So in plurality, B is the winner, and in two-round runoff, A is the winner. So it's not always the case, because once you have a third alternative, eliminating the one that came in last, can change the ranking for the top two under the two-round runoff. Okay, so the next one says that in an election with at least three alternatives, if an alternative comes last under the plurality, then it can never win under the two-round runoff. This is clearly true because if it comes last, then it's eliminated. So it doesn't even move to round two, so it cannot win the two-round runoff. Okay. This one says that in a dictatorship voting system, the social ranking is always the voter preference of at least one voter. This is true. The one voter for which the social ranking equals their preference is the dictator in particular. Okay. So the last one says that in a plurality voting system, the social ranking is always the voter preference of at least one voter. This is not true in general. And you can see maybe problem 2 as an example. Oh no. No, this one's not a good example because DBAC is actually a preference for one voter, but usually this is not the case. Let me see if I can find an example right here. No, okay, we don't have good examples. Maybe this one can give you one example, but in general, this is not true.